In this problem, we're going to be dividing two rational expressions. We have x squared minus 1 over x squared plus 2x plus 1 divided by x squared minus x divided by x squared minus 3x. So we're dividing by this entire fraction on the right. The first thing that we should do when we're dealing with this type of problem is factor every single numerator and denominator that we possibly can. So in this first case, x squared minus 1, that should look familiar. That's our difference of squares example. Notice minus 1 is the same thing as minus 1 squared. So whenever you have a difference of squares, you take the square root of your first term, so x squared, the square root of that is just x, and you put it in the beginning of each of your pairs of parentheses. If you're not comfortable with square roots, you basically just find what value times itself will give you this first term. So just x times x. And again, you're going to check what value times itself will give you this second term. Well, the only thing that gives you 1 when you multiply it to itself is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. And now from here, we have a plus and a minus. So that's our general way to find the difference of squares formula. Now from here we need to factor the denominator, x squared plus 2x plus 1. And we'll just go ahead and use guess and check to do this quickly. We need two numbers that multiply to give us x squared. That's just going to be x and x. And likewise, we need two numbers that multiply to give us 1. And because both of these terms are addition, we need them to add together to give us this 2. So 1 times 1 gives us 1. And if you add 1 plus 1, you'll get 2. And this is all divided by, on the right side, on the top right, we have x squared minus x. Well, in this case, the common term that can be factored out is x. So we have x times the quantity of x squared divided by x is just x, minus x divided by x is 1. And that's all divided by, again, x squared minus 3x. We just have to find a common factor, which is just x. So we have x times x squared divided by x is just x, minus 3x divided by x is just minus 3. And now from here, we're just going to check if there's anything, I apologize. From here, we're going to take care of the division, then we're going to check if there's anything that can cancel from the top and bottom. So we do need to take care of this division first. So remember, whenever you're dividing by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to copy down this first fraction, x plus 1 times x minus 1 divided by x plus 1 times x plus 1. And we're going to multiply that by the reciprocal of this fraction, which is x times x minus 3 over x times x minus 1. And now at this point we can start canceling. We usually want to wait till this point to start canceling, as what these values we cancel will come into play later on. So it's generally a better idea to leave them till this step to keep track of all the values that were canceled. So at this step, anything common between the top and bottom that's being multiplied will cancel out. So, starting left to right, we have an x plus 1 in the top and bottom of this fraction. We're going to cancel that out. From here, we have an x minus 1 in the top of this fraction, but not in the bottom. But we do have an x minus 1 in the bottom of this fraction. And because we're multiplying, we can cancel them as if they're in the exact same fraction. We do not have another x plus 1 in the numerator, so this value will have to stay here. And we do have an x in the top and bottom of this fraction that we can cancel out. And finally, we do not have an x minus 3 in the denominator of either of these fractions. So this will just simplify to x minus 3 being left in the numerator over x plus 1 being left in the denominator. And that is the simplified form of this original problem that was division by rational expressions.